Cliff Thorburn, the unassuming Canadian who rewrote snooker history. From the orphanage to the pinnacle of the sport, Thorburn's 1980 World Championship triumph was a groundbreaking moment. This is the story of how the Grinder became the first overseas player to conquer the Crucible and inspire a generation. Cliff Thorburn was born on January 16, 1948, in Victoria, British Columbia. His early life was marked by challenges and adversity. Thorburn spent time in an orphanage as a child and faced a difficult family situation. But it was during his teenage years that he discovered a passion and talent for cue sports like snooker and pool. Thorburn began playing snooker and pool in local halls as a teenager in the 1960s. He quickly developed his skills and turned professional in 1972 at age 24. That same year, he won the Canadian Amateur Championship, kicking off a dominant run where he would claim that title in 1972, 1974, 1975, 1976, and 1977. Clearly, Thorburn was the top snooker talent in Canada. But Thorburn had his sights set beyond just Canadian success. He wanted to take on the best in the world, and especially the top British and Irish players who had long dominated the sport. In 1973, he decided to test himself by entering the World Snooker Championship for the first time. In a tense match, Thorburn managed to defeat the highly rated Northern Irish pro Dennis Taylor 9-8 in the first round. It was a statement victory that announced his arrival on the world stage. However, he then narrowly lost 15-16 to Wales's Ray Reardon in the next round. Cliff reached the quarterfinals of the 1975 World Snooker Championship with wins over Morgan and Miles, losing the quarterfinal 12-19 to Eddie Charlton. But in 1977, he made his big breakthrough. With the tournament moving to its now iconic home at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield, England, Thorburn fought his way to the final. Along the way, he scored impressive wins over top pros like Rex Williams, Eddie Charlton, and his old rival Dennis Taylor. In the final, Thorburn faced John Spencer, an Englishman who had won the World Championship 2 times. It was the biggest match of the Canadian's career to that point, and Thorburn acquitted himself very well, even taking an early lead in the race to 25 final. However, Spencer's experience proved too much, and he came back to win it 25-21. While he had fallen just short of the ultimate prize, Thorburn had firmly established himself as a force to be reckoned with in world snooker. Over the next couple years, Thorburn remained a top contender, but couldn't quite get over the final hurdle. He reached the quarterfinals in 1978. However, 1980 would prove to be the year that Thorburn finally ascended to the very top of the snooker world. At the 1980 World Championship, Thorburn arrived in top form and full of confidence. He dispatched Doug Mountjoy, Jim Witch, and David Taylor en route to the final, displaying some of the best snooker of his career. In the final, his opponent would be Northern Ireland's Alex Higgins, one of the most talented and controversial characters in the sport. Thorburn and Higgins had a fierce rivalry, and the pair didn't get along off the table, adding extra spice to an already huge occasion. The final was predictably tense and closely fought. Higgins took an early 9-5 lead, but Thorburn dug deep and fought back to level at 9-9. The tension continued to rise as the match went back and forth. Every frame became a battle of wills between two evenly matched competitors who were desperate to claim snooker's greatest prize, and after 34 frames of grueling attritional snooker, it was Thorburn who finally secured the decisive frame to win 18-16. The magnitude of Thorburn's achievement can't be overstated. He had just become the first player from outside the UK to win the World Championship in the sport's modern era. The only previous non-British winner had been Australia's Horace Lindrum in 1952, but his victory came when many of the top pros had boycotted the event. The event featured only 2 entrants, Australian Horace Lindrum and New Zealander Clark McConaughey. In contrast, Thorburn had beaten the very best on the biggest stage. For Thorburn personally, it was the defining moment of his career and incredibly emotional given the challenging background he had come from. His dogged, determined style had earned him the nickname The Grinder, and he had ground out the biggest win of his life. At age 32, the Canadian had reached the very top of his sport. Thorburn's 1980 victory helped elevate snooker's profile in Canada and established him as his country's first global star in the sport. But he wasn't content to rest on his laurels. The following season, Thorburn claimed the world #1 ranking, becoming the first non-British player to do so. While he wouldn't win another world title, Thorburn continued to be a major force throughout the 1980s. Further highlights included winning the Masters, snooker's most prestigious invitational event, in 1983, 1985, and 1986. His 3 titles stood as a record until Stephen Hendry surpassed it in 1992, making the first ever maximum break of 147 at the Crucible during the 1983 World Championship. It remains one of the most famous moments in snooker history. winning the World Cup with Team Canada in 1982 and 1990. Thorburn retired from the main professional tour in 1996. He competed later in his career in Snooker Legends events and on the World Seniors Tour, winning the 2018 Seniors Masters at the Crucible Theatre at age 70. He retired from competitive snooker after the 2022 UK Seniors Championship. In 2001, Thorburn was deservedly inducted into Canada's Sports Hall of Fame in recognition of his immense achievements and contribution to the sport, and the Snooker Hall of Fame in 2014.
Another Canada Sports Hall of Fame member, Cliff Thorburn, for snooker.
Even for those who never saw Thorburn play live, his 1980 World Championship victory remains one of snooker's most significant and fondly remembered moments. In an era of British and Irish dominance, the understated man from Victoria demonstrated that snooker brilliance could be found in all corners of the globe, helped lay the foundation for the sport's subsequent international growth and popularity. Thorburn's tale is inspirational, not just for what he achieved on the table, but for how he achieved it. His path to the pinnacle of snooker was anything but smooth or easy. It was defined by resilience, single-minded dedication to improvement, and a determination to maximize every ounce of his potential. Regardless of the obstacles he faced, Thorburn never stopped fighting or believing. Fittingly, his crowning moment, that 1980 victory over Alex Higgins, showcased all the qualities that defined his career. He dug in, weathered the storm of an early deficit, trusted in his abilities, and ground out a victory through sheer will and mental toughness. Cliff Thorburn made history by becoming the first Canadian World Snooker Champion, but he did it on his own terms, his own way. Cliff Thorburn didn't just make snooker history in 1980, he changed it forever. His World Championship triumph paved the way for generations of players outside the sport's British heartland and redefined what was possible on the green baize. Who do you think is the greatest Canadian snooker player of all time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to Snooker Kingdom. Thanks for watching.